Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about holiday driving and road trips to visit family and other destinations and how to get there safely. We have 9 tips for you today. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about holiday driving and long trips for visiting family during Easter and those types of things. And bear with me for 1 second here. I'm just going to adjust the color a little bit. We're a little bit bright here, so we'll just turn that down a little bit. There we go. And just turn that up a little bit. There we go. Save. We'll see if that works for us in terms of getting it the right lighting and the right color here, because I look a little washed out here. So yes, getting going here with holiday driving and those types of things. I have some tips and ideas for you in terms of holiday driving with Easter coming up next weekend, and here in Canada we have another holiday on the long weekend, and you do there as well in the States. So yes, I have a couple of marks on my face from jiu-jitsu this week. And Byron is here from Texas. Tommy's here from Oshawa. Brothers is here from Chicago. So if you're just tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from in the world and what class of license you're going for. Corey is here, Bricks for Wheels. He is tuning in from Winnipeg. Where I'm hoping that they're starting to get some summertime and those types of things. So I'm still looking a little pink here, so just bear with me while I adjust this again. I'm not sure. Some days I get it right, and other days I don't get it right. Try that and see if that works. There we go. Okay, Frederick is from Denmark. Excellent. Hello from Denmark. Cody's here. Byron is tuning in from Glen Cove on Long Island there, and it's called Long Island for a reason, as I found out when I was driving truck down there. And Essie's here. Hi there. Jonathan is tuning in from New York City. Michael is from Jackson, Michigan. And awesome. That's great. So lots of people tuning in here, and we're getting going here with the prologue. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask questions. We'll do the best we can to answer them. Jonathan's really good at answering questions, and I do appreciate his input and helping other smart drivers get going. Gabe is tuning in from Virginia. And Cody says I look great all the time, even though my face is a little bit, I'm beginning to feel like after 3 or 4, I guess it's 6 months now, I'm beginning to feel like I need to get some sea salt or something and try and toughen up my face a little bit, because it looks a lot worse than it actually is. So anyway, it's all good. And Brandon is tuning in from Louisiana and getting a Class A license. That's really great. And Brandon is Class A in Louisiana. Is that tractor trailer license there that you're working on? So terrific. Excellent. And I was just trying to think if I had any comments this week that stood out for me that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure something will come up, and we'll talk about that. So what we got going here is the PowerPoint presentation. So we're just going to bounce over to the PowerPoint presentation here. We'll get going with that. And then we'll come back to questions and answers for anybody who has questions and answers. We'll come back and answer all of your questions, not only about road trips, how to drive on the highway, how to use cruise control, but we'll also answer any questions you have about passing a road test and those types of things. After border crossing, I'm sorry, Byron, is that a question or is that an institution, or what is that you're after border crossing? I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, we'll get that going, and we'll just slide over here to the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll do that for the people here. Okay, so road trips and holiday driving, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about long trips that you may have gone on before, or you may not have gone on before, but if you, it's fairly new, it's your first or second trip, it's a trip that you do annually. I do suggest that you do a bit of planning before you go. If you're kind of a veteran at your road trip that you do every year, we used to drive up from Vancouver Island to Vernon, British Columbia, which is about 5 or 6 hours, and of course we stopped at the halfway mark. So we did about 2 hours, and that's usually what I recommend for people who are driving long distances. Every 2 hours you want to get out and go to the toilet, walk around a little bit, get some blood flowing through your body and those types of things, because you do want to take a break. And especially if you have kids or you have pets, you definitely want to get them out of the vehicle and let them getting a bit of exercise on those longer road trips. All right, so I am Rick August. If you're new to Smart Drive Test or you're watching on the replay and you just found us here on YouTube or other places, I was a truck driver through the most of the 1990s. I became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1998 in a bid to try and get off the highway because I was an over-the-road truck driver. And so I did that. In 2000, I went back to university, finished my undergraduate degree, got accepted to the University of Melbourne in a PhD program, and completed my PhD in legal history in 2006. For those that you may or may not know, legal history is the study of policing, courts, and prisons, and my expertise is in policing, oddly enough, as it relates to traffic. I just kept going deeper and deeper into the question of do people follow road rules because they fear them or because they respect them, and that was really the question that drove my research while I was doing my dissertation. And while I was in Australia and at the University of Melbourne going to university rather, I drove for Greyhound for a year, and as well I drove part-time for one of the regional bus lines there as well, so I have bus experience as well. Alright, so tip number one in terms of long trips, make sure you do pre-checks on your vehicle. Check all the fluids under the hood, check the oil, check the transmission fluid. Most of you are going to be driving automatics here in North America. If you're in other parts of the world, you're going to be driving standard transmission, so you're not going to be checking the transmission fluid, but you do want to do that. Check the brake fluid. If you got a hydraulic clutch, you want to check the fluid in the clutch, and the power steering reservoir. Make sure all the fluids are topped up in the engine compartment as well. Make sure you don't have any cracked or broken hoses. Check the tire pressure. Make sure that you have the tire pressure according to the vehicle manufacturer. You can find that in the owner's manual, and if you're not sure about that, call one of the tire shops or just pop around to the tire shop and get them to check the tire pressure for you. Now, if you're in the northern hemisphere right now, know that tire shops are going to be pretty busy as they're swapping out winter tires for all season or summer tires. As well, check the wiper blades, and if you're in doubt of anything working smoothly on your vehicle, take it to a mechanic and get them to do a pre-trip inspection. For example, if you feel that the brakes have been going a long time, you definitely want to take it into a mechanic and have them look at the brakes before you take off. And just on that note, I did have a question from one of the smart drivers there a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about their tires, and they're going on a long trip in June down from Ontario to Minnesota. And there is a lifespan on your tires. Once they start getting to 7 or 8 years, you want to think about replacing those tires. And that was the question that smart driver had, was the tires were reaching their lifetime on the vehicle. They were getting up 6 years, and he asked me about that. And if you watch the interview, and Corey will put up the video on the interview with Gary at Tireland there, and he says that it's about 8 years. If the tires are 8 years old on your vehicle, you definitely want to get them replaced because that's the lifetime of the tires. The next thing you want to do if you're unfamiliar with where you're going is navigation. You want to do a little bit of work on this. One of the things that I was doing with my kids on the last trip when we drove down to Seattle on March break was I was getting them to look at the mile markers and figuring out how far we had to go. So it was kind of a little bit on my part getting them to do some math as well. If you have any confusion or not clear about something, get some help. And when I say get some help, always consult 2 or 3 sources when you're navigating. Don't just rely on your phone. Just don't type the address into your phone and then expect it to give you the right directions, because that's not always going to work. Your phone isn't always accurate. So make sure you look at your phone, make sure you look at Google Maps, and you plan your routes out. And the other thing, if you're driving on interstates or freeways, know that there's going to be mile markers. And if you know the exact mile marker number that you're going to get off the interstate, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Now, in most states and provinces, the mile markers line up with the exits. Now, there are a couple of states in the U.S., New York for one, that the exit numbers do not line up with the mile markers. So know that when you're planning your trip and you're getting the exit numbers, because the exit numbers can also be defensive driving. So, for example, if you're getting off at 290 and you're at 280, you know that you have 10 miles to get down the road. And once you get to 289, you know you got a mile, you got to get over to the right, and you're going to get off, and you start getting prepared to do that. So it can be defensive driving as well, and be a lot safer for you when you know exactly which mile marker you're going to be getting off the freeway at. Plan your breaks every couple of hours. Have activities for children. Get them involved in the navigation as well. Let them look at your phone, the map, and those types of things. And if you do get lost, stop to look for directions. Look at the directions in your phone. Don't be trying to do it while you're driving. And you might even have to go into a gas station or a convenience store or something along the way and ask people for directions. That's something that you can still do if you're on long trips. Make sure that you have activities for the kids, audiobooks. You can go to the library and get audiobooks. And the book, it accompanies that with a CD, and you can put that in the CD player. Lots of you are going to have iPods now that you're going to be able to put in the car and those types of things. And all of that helps to keep the kids entertained. I have other activities, and I know you can Google that, and there's lots of activities here you can have in the car for the kids to do. Make sure you have drinks and snacks and those types of things available. And as well, make sure you have lots of baby wipes and paper towels and those types of things, because if you have younger children, such as in the image here, they are going to make a mess. I know 2 years ago when I went down to the United States with my kids, it came back and it was just a litter bin on the backs and the floor in the back seat. So know that as well. Number 4, preparation, foods, drinks. Where pets going to be in the vehicle? Because a lot of you are going to be traveling with pets. Are they traveling in a cage? Are they just roaming around the cabin inside the vehicle and those types of things? And I do suggest that you do have them in a cage. It just makes pets more comfortable when they're in the vehicle, as opposed to having them on your lap and they're distracting you and those types of things. Okay, assign roles. Who's going to be doing the driving at what point? The passenger is going to be navigating and saying, at mile marker 588, you're going to be getting off the exit here, and you're going to make a right, and then you're going to make a left. It just makes everything a lot easier if two people are working together. Children looking for landmarks and looking for mile markers, as I just said, that's a really good activity to keep your children engaged in what's going on and those types of things. As well, get them involved in where your breaks are going to be and playgrounds and those types of things. Have pillows and blankets in the vehicle for people that are going to get, the kids and passengers are going to get cold. And as well, if you are on prescription medications, know the effects that prescription medications are going to have on your driving. Tip number 5, if you're on highways and freeways, other places, learn how to use cruise control. It's going to reduce distracted driving, because now you don't have to monitor your speed, and it's not going to creep up on you, and you're not going to get pulled over by police. So do learn how to use cruise control. It reduces distracted driving, it reduces fatigue, and it increases fuel economy in your vehicle. So have a look at this video here, and Corey will put that up for you on cruise control, and you can learn how to use that and learn how to drive your car with cruise control. All of it makes it so much easier. Finally, if you are driving at night on the holidays, know that drowsy drivers rest in pieces. And sometimes, for those of us, particularly men, our ego can kind of get in the way, and we're gonna drive there in 2 hours and 14 minutes and 72 seconds, and we're not gonna stop. The kids are gonna pee in bottles, and we're gonna break our record from last year, type thing. No, if you're tired and it's night driving and you're fatigued, you've been at work all day and you're trying to make it there for Saturday morning or whatnot, pull over, get some sleep. Even 20 minutes in a rest area in the driver's seat is going to help you to not be, to not crash or fall asleep at the wheel. So know that. As well, eating is going to help you stay awake. As well, talking to somebody else while you're driving at night is also going to help you to stay awake. And there's a video here on the channel, fatigue management. Corey will put that up for you, and that'll give you some more ideas and tips about driving at night and staying safe. All right, brakes. Plan your brakes every couple of hours, and there's a reason that we need to plan brakes every couple of hours. Most towns and cities now are 2 hours away, and that's as far as we can go without being fatigued and starting to get irritable and those types of things. As well, kids and pets are going to need places to stop, places to have a playground and get some exercise and get the blood flowing, those types of things. As well, if you stop at restaurants, McDonald's or Burger King, other fast food chains and those types of things, know that restaurant food is going to be heavy. It's going to make you drowsy. So know that after you eat, it's probably, if you can go for a walk before you get back in the vehicle and start driving again, that's going to be a lot easier for you than just having a restaurant meal, jumping back in the vehicle, and then continuing. Likewise, if you just go through the drive-through at McDonald's or something like that, and you pick up some heavy, hamburgers and French fries and those types of things, again, that's going to make you drowsy. So know the effect that food is going to have on you when you're driving. All right. Okay. There we go. Comfort in clothing, and packing the vehicle, because sometimes it is going to be packed to the rafters. So you're going to have to have visibility using your wing mirrors and those types of things. Take off bulky clothing. After 5 minutes in the vehicle is going to warm up and it's going to be comfortable. You're going to be able to use the creature comforts in the vehicle. So take off bulky clothes. Don't wear jackets. Wear your, just wear your shirt and those types of things. Have emergency clothes in the vehicle though. If you do get stranded or the vehicle breaks down or whatnot, especially here this time of year in the mountains, it can be fairly cold and those types of things. If you need back supports and whatnot to be able to drive for long distances, make sure you have those in the vehicle as well, and any other accessories or any other aids that you're going to need, make sure you have all of that in the vehicle. Have accessibility to CDs, have accessibility to medication, and sunglasses and prescription glasses as well. If you need all of those things for driving, make sure you have access to all of that stuff as well. And the kids too, make sure that they have access to games and activities and whatnot, and they can see out the windows and whatnot. I know a lot of people will just get these video players for their kids, but I don't really agree with those a lot. I mean, it's okay once in a while if they're watching movies, but I mean, my kids don't have those in the vehicle. I find they do just fine, especially if you keep them engaged in terms of looking for mile markers and looking for landmarks and whatnot. So, and the last tip here, number 9, I believe it is, emergency stops and breakdowns. If you do break down an interstate or a highway, try not to pull over on the side of the road unless it is absolutely necessary, especially when you got little kids. Try and keep them in the vehicle so they're not near oncoming traffic and those types of things. If you can make it up to an off-ramp or another place that you can get off the roadway where it's safer and you're not just right beside whizzing traffic, you're going to be a lot safer. I have had vehicles break down and those types of things numerous times and have been on the side of the roadway, and let me tell you, it's really not a safe place at all and not a place you want to be hanging out. Make sure, this is another tip here, make sure that you have a charging cord in the vehicle so that your cell phone's charged, because if you do break down, you want to be able to call somebody for help and assistance, call a tow truck. Here in Canada, you want to think about joining one of the automobile associations. In the United States, it's going to be the AAA, the Automobile Association of America, and signing up for their one of their programs. They're inexpensive. They're usually less than $100 a year, and they will tow you a couple hundred miles to the nearest mechanic shop and those types of things. I know recently had a brand new Subaru that broke down. It only had about 40,000 kilometers on it. These new vehicles won't run if the battery runs down to a certain voltage, and that's basically what happened. The batteries were really inexpensive in these vehicles. The battery died and the vehicle died, and we had to have it towed. So know that even newer vehicles are going to sometimes leave you stranded on the side of the road. And if you're running in the winter time, you want to have a winter survival kit in the vehicle as well. So think about all of those things and have a great trip. Be safe and be comfortable, and do the best you can there to get there without incident. So we'll just head back over here and we'll answer any questions that you have about long trips and passing road tests and those types of things. All right. Yes, and Chris reminds people here that don't forget about the sugar crash or caffeine crash too, and that's an excellent point, that if you're trying to drive at night and you have you're drinking a lot of caffeine or you're eating a lot of chocolate bars, you're intaking a lot of sugar, you are going to have a sugar crash. You are going to have a caffeine crash, and I've had those before. So know that as well about what food you're consuming, what drinks you're taking in, and those types of things. All of that is going to have an effect on you. All right, I'm going to try one more time to adjust this goofy camera here. So it's really driving me crazy in terms of the colors and whatnot. So there, we'll try that. Okay. 380 is about $90 to the base level. I have Platinum for $120, includes 400 kilometers of tow, free maps, and travel agent services. So that's an excellent point. So there's a lot of other benefits to joining these automobile associations besides just a breakdown and getting towed. As 380 says there, it's free maps and travel agent services as well. So you can get a lot of other services as well from these associations. There's quite a bit of, there's a benefit for, $120. That's a good deal, especially if your vehicle does break down. And as I said, brand new 2017 Subaru WRX. The battery went on it. We had to have the vehicle towed a couple of hours. So had you had to pay for that out of your pocket, it would have been fairly expensive. All right. Most drivers I know avoid lots of coffee in the morning due to have to pull over for you know what number. Yes. And there's something else that I would counsel you on. That's an excellent point that Chris made there. That if you're taking a lot of intake, you're going to have to stop to go to the toilet all the time. And I know that as well. So when I was driving coaches for Greyhound when I was in Australia, I knew when I stopped at the break, I could only have a half a cup of coffee. I knew that. So because if I had more than a half a cup of coffee, then I wouldn't be able to make it to the next break. And it was rather embarrassing when you have a bus full of passengers and you have to stop to go to the toilet. So that's another thing. Chris, thank you very much for the $10 for the super chat there. That's really awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's incredible. Okay, 380 up a ways here. Okay, so we'll have a look here. We'll just head back here. Now that the statute of limitations is up, how long have you generally gone without a stop while you were over the road? Stuck in the habits of family road trips are ordeals from others. How long have I gone with over the road? Okay, you want to know the I'll be honest with you. The longest I ever went driving over the road, one day I drove 15 hours straight in the truck. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. I've got some pretty... I wasn't the best truck driver in the world, and that was a long time ago, and I was young, and we were making money by the hour, so and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. So yeah, and that's probably why I got off the road, because I'm a type A personality. I'm one of those people that I'm going to do it and I'm going to get it done now. And unfortunately, it wasn't best in the world for me, and it wasn't safe for other people either. So there you go. Chris, 8 years. I get 2 to 3 years at most due to plug sidewall damage. Oh, okay. Chris, do you run into the curbs a lot with your tires? Yeah, cheap tires. Yeah, Jonathan, talking about tires, that's one of the things that I would really advocate for you is don't cheap out on tires. If you're buying tires for your vehicle, buy some tires that are really good quality tires. And, because really good quality tires are going to improve your ride and make driving your vehicle much more comfortable. As well, it's less likely that you're going to have to go into the shop all the time. You're going to get a lot better mileage on your vehicle. I have taught high-end Michelins on mine. I really prefer Michelins. I'm not giving a plug for Michelin. Michelin's not paying me in terms of saying this or not. I usually get 100,000 kilometers out of a set of tires on good quality tires. That's about 60,000 miles for those of you there in the States. So that's one of the things that I would really recommend is that you buy high quality tires, because if you buy cheap tires, I do have inexpensive winter tires that I put on my vehicle, and I'm loath to put them on because it's like driving on square blocks. It's such a rough ride, and I just don't like them. They don't handle well, they don't corner well. I mean, yes, they're good in the snow because they're steel studded, but they're not nearly as good as the Michelin tires. Okay, Michael, construction season is right around the corner too. We start next week on a busy freeway. I think you've been on I-94. Yes, I have been on most of the interstates in the U.S. I-94, yes, I've been on it. And yes, you're going to be dealing with construction. Even when I was down 2 weeks ago to Seattle, construction season had already started. So know that that's coming as well for those of you driving around. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, Blessed. My uncle checked my car and he said I need a new fuel pump. Did anyone ever purchase car parts from Amazon? It's cheap and comments have good and bad. Would you purchase it from there or not? Need your input. Okay, that's always a tough one. I don't know what other people's experience is with purchasing auto parts online. I've heard good things about people. Blessed, sometimes it might be just as inexpensive to go to one of the local auto parts shops there where you live. Because if you go to the auto parts shop and it's not the right one, because this does happen, and I've had this happen with me where I've gone to auto parts shops and they've given me the wrong parts for whatever reason. So if you buy a fuel pump off Amazon, it's going to take you a while to send it back if it's not the right one. And the other thing is if you tear the car all apart and you go to put it on, it's not the right one. That can happen as well. So that would be my only note of caution in terms of purchasing parts online. You want to know it is in fact the part that you're looking for and the part that you're going to be replaced, because you don't want to get the vehicle apart, figure out that it's the wrong part, and then you're stuck for 2 weeks without a vehicle. Whereas if you go to a local parts shop, it's the wrong part, you can just go back to the parts shop and you can say, hey, this is the wrong part for my vehicle, and they'll replace it right away, and you can go back and you can carry on with fixing your vehicle. That's my only note of caution in terms of buying parts online. Okay, that you could potentially be down for a lot longer than what you would unfortunately want to be. Yep, and Chris there, as he said, it depends on how well you know your vehicle. Okay, all right, there we go. Stacy, hi there, how are ya? Excellent, thanks for coming in. And 380, the brand name tires really pay off after the second set you have to buy of the other brand. Yes. I had a set of tires. I'm not going to tell you what kind of brand they were. It was partly my own fault because I didn't get a wheel alignment. And here is one of the key points about buying new tires. If you buy new tires for your vehicle, make sure that you pay for a wheel alignment when you get new tires put on your vehicle, because if the vehicle's out of alignment, the tires are going to prematurely wear, even if you do rotate them on a regular basis. So spend the $100 and get a wheel alignment with new tires. That way you know that your tires are going to last and it's going to be part of your guarantee. When you buy new tires, and watch the video with Gary here, that there are certain stipulations and conditions to having the warranty on these new tires, because some of these new tires are guaranteed for 120,000 kilometers, for 80,000 miles, but you have to rotate the tires every 10,000 kilometers, which is 6,000 miles, and you have to have a wheel alignment on your vehicle every 30,000 kilometers, which is every 20,000 miles. If you don't do that, the warranty is void. As well, in terms of the warranty on the tires, know that the warranty is going to be prorated. If the tires wear out prematurely, say that you got 120,000 kilometer, you got, for sake of ease, let's say you got a 100,000 kilometer warranty, which is 60,000 miles. The tires dump off at 50,000 kilometers, so that's half of the life of the tires. They're only going to give you 50% towards new tires. They're not going to give you brand new tires. They're only going to give 50%. So know that's how the warranties work on new tires. Okay. Umar, hello. How are you? Excellent. We're glad that you joined us here while we're live. Stacy, I should be getting my van back this week and get back to learning. I'm going to focus on what you told me about one-eye blindness. Excellent. That's really great, Stacy. We're really happy to hear that you're going to be getting your van back and getting going here. 81, what advice would you give me? I'm going for G2 next month. Make sure, 81, that you know your slow speed maneuvers. If you can do your slow speed maneuvers well, and you can do those with precision, that is going to improve your overall driving. And know that even though the slow speed maneuvers, parallel parking, 3-point turn, 2-point reverse turn, and reverse stall parking, which are probably going to be the ones that you're going to have to do, even though those are only about 1/8 of the overall test, they're going to give you the most grief. And if you're good at those, they're going to improve your overall driving. So make sure you practice those slow speed maneuvers for the purposes of doing your G2 test. Stacy, what old tires that look new but are actually very old? How long is the good life expectancy if they are only but used? Okay, so you don't want to get over 8 years on a set of tires, Stacy. Once they start getting around 8 years, they start running to the end of their life, okay? And have a look at the video with Gary there, and he'll help you out, okay? Jaden, hey, Jaden from Florida. Hey, Rick, I also forgot to mention when my school refused to take me on the Universal Studios trip, I went to Zoomers instead. What is Zoomers a restaurant chain there in Florida? I'm not familiar with it. Okay, Cody, is it okay to left foot brake after you get your license in an automatic vehicle if you are comfortable doing so? Cody, I don't counsel you to do left foot braking. It just it, it it's not something that I am comfortable with, and I know that some people do it. If you're okay with it and you're not going to get confused with your two pedals, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But my counsel would be no, to learn to use just your right foot for the brake and fuel, and that way you're not going to mix the two things up. Okay? All right, so Zoomers is an amusement park, as Jaden just told us here. Okay, Jaden, also next Friday when I go back to the DMV, I'm going to wear my customers, and they say, call my name. Don't know that the shirt I'm wearing was my name. There you go, that's funny. Frederick, I have my first long drive from Odense to Berlin with my friend at the end of May in my 2004 hatchback. A 6.5-hour drive, a bit excited about driving in Berlin in a big city for the day. That's going to be very exciting, Frederick. Driving the 6.5-hour drive and driving in Berlin. That's going to be very exciting. So make sure you do those tips. Also, Corey will put the video up here on route planning and navigation and have a look at that. And that way you can route plan your route through Europe before you head down to Berlin, and it's going to be less likely that you're going to get lost in Berlin, especially if you've got a friend with you who can navigate. That's going to make it a lot easier because there's two of you looking for landmarks and those types of things. It's a bit tougher when you're by yourself and you're trying to navigate as well. I mean, it's a lot easier now that we have GPS and we have our phones and those types of things, but you still, excuse me, want to have sort of a sense of where you're going and what you're doing and those types of things. Don't just rely solely on your phone. Okay, so Jonathan is also an advocate of the right foot for throttle and brake, and I'm an advocate for that as well. Okay, especially if you're going to drive manual transmission, it's going to be a lot easier for you to move from automatic to driving manual transmission because you're going to use your left foot on the clutch and you're not going to be able to move your left foot from the clutch to the brake. So it's going to make driving that transition from automatic to manual. And I know that some people will say, oh, I'm never going to drive manual because that's so, it's such a Neanderthal thing to do. And what did somebody say? One of the smart drivers the other day said that it was medieval, I think was what they said about manual transmissions. Let me just fill you in on the world of cars and those types of things. Here in North America, we have about 80-20. So 80% of the vehicles are automatic transmissions and 15% of the vehicles are manual transmissions. However, the rest of the world is the opposite. If you go to Europe or you go anywhere else in the world, you can be guaranteed that it's going to be about 80-85% manual transmissions and only about 15 or 20% are going to be automatic transmissions. So if you travel to other places in the world and you can't drive a manual transmission, but you want to rent a car, you're going to be hard pressed because you're going to have to learn how to drive a manual transmission pretty quickly because you're going to be hard pressed to find a vehicle fitted with an automatic transmission in other parts of the world. Okay, left to right foot on the fly may reduce your reaction time. I'm not sure about that. It's pretty quick, and also if you're managing space around your vehicle well, which you should be in terms of defensive driving, because again, I come back to the point that space management is the fundamentals of defensive driving, and if you're managing space around your vehicle well, you're not going to have to react as much. And as well, it's also faster to steer out of an emergency situation than it is to brake. So you're probably not going to be able to do that as so much. Okay? Blessed, I need to get new tires. I was going to mention about what's a good brand, but you just answered it. Thank you. Oh, you're most welcome, Blessed. Yeah, I'm partial to Michelin tires. I really like the Michelin Defenders. I have them on my CRV, and the ride is really nice. They're good quality tires. They wear well. Get them rotated every 10,000 kilometers, every 6,000 miles, and they're really nice tires. Okay, Justin, what is the suggestion if we need to take a stop on the highway? Is stopping on the shoulder good option, or should I exit? Merging on live lanes again from shoulder can be challenging. Thank you. Justin, definitely do not stop on the side of the road. Go into a rest area, get off at an exit, go into a fuel station, go into a restaurant, someplace like that. If you're I'm not sure where you are in the world, but if you're in the U.S., there's lots of rest areas and those types of things along the interstates and freeways. go in there. Do not stop on the side of the road. Just it's too dangerous, and you could get rear-ended and those types of things. So definitely go into a rest area and those types of things. And again, Justin, this is another part of your navigation and route planning before you take off. Know that you're going to need a break every couple of hours, and you can plan where you're going to stop, especially in this day and age of Google Maps. I mean, you just look at Google Maps, it's about 100 miles for 2 hours of driving, especially along interstates and freeways. Just look for a rest area, look for a restaurant, look for a playground, those types of things, public schools and whatnot. You can stop at all those areas, especially if you're traveling with kids and whatnot, and you can have a nice break. You're away from traffic, you're stopped someplace safe, you're in a rest area, you're in a playground, you're at a restaurant or whatnot. So no, definitely do not stop on the side of the road to have a break. Okay? 380, note that cell phones may lose signals and make navigation unreliable. Satellite GPS navigation does not outside of typhoons. Yes, and that is an excellent point about cell phones and navigation devices, especially here in the mountains. If you are in the Appalachian Mountains, or you're here in the Rocky Mountains on the West Coast, or you're traveling into another country, as I found out 2 years ago when I went into the States, that you're going to pay roaming charges. And if you're using data to run your GPS or run your phone for navigation, it is going to cost you a lot of money. I think my cell phone bill was like $200 that month just for running the navigation and route planning. So know that if you're traveling into either the U.S. from Canada, or you're traveling into Canada from the U.S., that your cell phone charges are going to go through the roof. So you will want to go back to the old school route planning and navigation with maps and whatnot to find your way to your destination. And again, this comes back to some of the benefits of the AAA or the CAA, that they will help you with that route planning and navigation, and you won't have to pay those exceptional charges and risk losing satellite connection or losing your cell phone connection. Excellent. Boston, is it okay to keep your foot on the clutch bite point area while doing slow speed maneuvers, or will that burn out the clutch? No, Boston, you can definitely feather the clutch through the friction point there while you're doing slow speed maneuvers and you're reversing and those types of things. You're not going to burn out the clutch doing slow speed maneuvers and those types of things, and you definitely have to do that. You're definitely going to have to feather the clutch to control the speed, to go slow enough to back up and those types of things. Yeah, excellent question there, Boston. Cody, where'd you go? Cody. Thank you, Rick and Jonathan, for your feedback, but I believe left braking is much safer because you're always covering the brake. I am quite comfortable with it. It is important to learn right foot too. Cody, I have to say that I don't agree with that, and I just don't agree with it. So I don't believe it's safer. Okay. Frederick, there you go. Okay, 380 standard transmissions are the best. These newfangled automatics, just to argue with you, and I enjoy the Neanderthal comment. I'm only in my 20s. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think automatic transmissions have made their way into the commercial industry just yet. Lucero, what are the main things you're tested on when taking the driving test? Thank you. Okay, excellent point. So there's 4 components of any road test anywhere in the world, regardless of what class of license you're going for, okay? Observation, communication, speed management, and space management. So speed management, posted speed limit or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. Okay, space management, don't get near anything. That way you're less likely to crash or hit something. And for the purposes of the road test, it's 2 to 3 second following distance under ideal conditions. So if your road conditions deteriorate for whatever reason, whether that's weather, high density pedestrian traffic, the roadway narrows or whatnot, you can go slower. Stop in traffic so you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. At intersection, stop before the stop line, the sidewalk or crosswalk line. And if those 2 conditions don't exist, then stop where the 2 roads meet for the purposes of a road test. Don't block intersections for space management. Observation, you need to observe, you need to have a scanning pattern in place. So looking far down the road in the vehicle, check your instrument panel. Far down the road, check your inside mirror. Far down the road, both shoulders of the road, check your wing mirrors, and then repeat that scanning pattern for the purposes of your road test. Anytime that you make a turn, anytime that you move the vehicle sideways, or you make a lane change, 2 shoulder checks, 90 degrees to the left or right, depending on which way you're moving the vehicle. And as well, before you do a reverse, you have to do a 360-degree scan, looking out the back window the whole time that you're reversing for slow speed maneuvers and whatnot. So that's observation, and that's what you need to do for the purposes of passing a road test. And then the last one is communication. You need to communicate effectively with other road users to pass the road test. And there's 5 ways that we communicate our intentions to other road users on the roadway. First one is our lights and signals, our horn, hand gestures. Make sure that you use all 5 fingers when you're communicating with other drivers. Don't tell them they're number one on a road test. You won't be successful. All right, eye contact. If you have a pedestrian, you're not sure what he or she is doing, or a cyclist or somebody on a motorcycle, make sure you get eye contact, and then each of you knows what the other person is doing. And then finally, the position of your vehicle on the roadway is going to indicate your intention. If a vehicle is in the left-hand turning lane rather, it's probably 98% sure that that vehicle or that driver is going to be turning left, okay? So know that. So again, the 4 components of any road test, any class of license, anywhere in the world: speed management, space management, observation, and communication. Those are the 4 fundamental components of any road test, regardless of class of license, regardless of where you're taking it in the world. All right? Okay. Chris, did you ever notice the media blast DUI, DWI will be strictly enforced on, say, Easter and other holidays? I agree. And yes, they do blitz during the holidays for long weekends and those types of things. So know that, and that goes hand in hand with drink driving. And for those of you who are driving at night professionally and those types of things, know that between midnight and 2 a.m. that you could potentially encounter drunk drivers. Because this is the time that the bars let out, or they've been drinking at a friend's party and those types of things, and unfortunately they're going to get in their vehicle and they're going to drive. Know that it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, or it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So if you have any suspicions about a vehicle that you're following on the highway, or can see, or it's kind of weaving and those types of things, increase your following distance and just stay away from that vehicle. Okay? Cody, if you like the video, guys, make sure you hit the like button and support the channel. And we really appreciate that, Cody. Thank you so much. Justin, hi, Rick. I'm from Ontario. I usually take the 401 between Kitchener and Toronto. Yes, and excellent. And there is a rest area. There's a couple of rest areas there, actually, Justin, on the way in. The other place, Justin, I traveled that road a lot when I was living in Ontario there. The other place you can stop is in Milton. There's a good rest area there in Milton. I don't know whether the fifth wheel truck stop is still there or not, but there's also some restaurants and whatnot. And most of the exit, Justin, you can just get off the 401 and go into a restaurant and whatnot. But I know that between Kitchener and Toronto, I think there's 2, maybe 3 rest areas, so there are places that you can get off there. All right. Okay, so down here, Epic, watching from Meadford, New York, and for long distance driving, try to bring in a tire pump and battery jump starter just in case when it's needed in an emergency situation. Would a kit with flares help too? They don't advocate flares anymore, Epic, in terms of a survival kit. They have triangles or other reflective clothing, safety vests and whatnot. The reason they don't advocate flares is because it doesn't mix well with flammable fluids, gasoline and diesel fuel and those types of things. So they don't advocate those anymore. But a tire pump is definitely one thing that you can use. Definitely battery cables is really good, because I know that most of the vehicles in this day and age, if you accidentally leave the lights on, they beep and buzz and those types of things, or the lights are automatic that they'll just turn off by themselves. But every now and again you do leave the lights on. I know in my vehicle I do, and I have to give it a boost. So you might want to think about having a set of jumper cables in your vehicle just as part of your survival kit. Okay, Frederick, here in Europe, the EU Commission has decided last year that phone companies within EU countries must not charge more for data and roaming as an EU citizen as long as you travel within the EU. That is excellent information. Thank you, Frederick. In terms of roaming charges for cell phones there in Europe, so that you're not going to get charged when you move from country to country, because it's a lot easier to move from country to country in Europe as opposed to here in Canada and the US. So that's really good information that the government has actually regulated the cell phone companies there in Europe, and you're not charged incredible amounts of money for navigation when you're using your phone and whatnot. Okay, 380 is if there is an obviously intoxicated driver, if safe, contact highway patrol and provincial. Yes, and that's the other thing that you can do if you're pretty sure that the person is intoxicated or driving erratically for whatever reason. Yes, contact police and report them if you can do that safely without, having to, don't use your phone while you're driving is what I'm trying to say. Stacy, if so, what do you recommend for anxiety reduction? Stacy, what I would recommend is have a look at the video on reducing fear and anxiety in learning how to drive. And as well, make sure that you expose yourself to driving in kind of increments, so in small steps, so you have learning objectives. So do your slow speed maneuvers, drive in areas where you have low traffic density, there isn't a lot of traffic and whatnot, and that way you're going to be more comfortable with the vehicle. Make sure you work in the parking lot. Corey put the video up here, I think, on learn to drive, and that gives you some exercises to do in the parking lot with cones and those types of things. And definitely do not go out into heavy traffic on your first 2 or 3 goes at it. Make sure that you're very comfortable with working the primary controls of the vehicle, the steering wheel, the throttle, and the brake before you get out into heavy density traffic and those types of things. Don't do that. Okay? Get used to the vehicle. Get used to driving the vehicle on roads where there isn't much traffic. Get used to doing your slow speed maneuvers and those types of things. And all of that will make the transition into traffic a lot easier. All right. 380, personal opinion, flares are still by far the most effective. Of course, don't pull them downhill of your fuel spill, but there's nothing like them yet. Yes, no, they are quite good. I would argue that I would agree with you, 380, that they're a lot better than triangles for sure. I think the last time when I was driving down to Victoria, somebody was out on the side of the road. They didn't even have triangles out, and I was like, oh my God, that's very unsafe. Okay? Jaden, I went to my mom's friend's house. I saw the do not put sign in the middle of the left turn lane. I mean, seriously, who does that? Yeah, some people do some things that are questionable, Jaden, for sure. Okay, 380, pushing brands for a moment. DeWalt makes a great air compressor battery jumper. Cat makes a great jump pack. Yes, and some of these jump packs are really good. I'm duly impressed with these, and I'm going to do an interview with one of the tow truck drivers here. He was a former student of mine, and they have a jump pack, and I believe it might be a Cat jump pack, and they're really exceptional. They're really good. Just keep the thing plugged in. It's charged up. You take it out of your car and hook it up, and boom, away you go. So yes, there you go. So a couple of things that you can consider if you want to have an emergency kit in your vehicle. And just on that note for a moment of these air compressors, the other thing about putting quality tires on your vehicle is you have much less chance of getting punctures and getting tire damage and having vehicles having tires losing air pressure and those types of things. I just find that with good quality tires, all of that is almost redundant. It's just something that you don't have to deal with. Now that I've said all of that, of course, I'm going to go down here in a couple of weeks and I'm going to get a puncture in my tire now to get it fixed. But good quality tires do reduce the chances of you having to keep air in your tires, having to deal with punctures and those types of things, whereas cheaper quality tires, they're just not going to be resistant to screws and nails and other sharp objects on the roadways and whatnot. So, it's kind of, with tires, it comes back to that saying again, pay now or pay later. Because if you buy cheap tires and you're going down the road and those types of things and you hit a nail and a screw, now you got a flat tire. Now you either got to change the tire or you got to wait for AAA or CAA to show up to change the tire for you. So you wasted all that time. You got to take the tire to the shop. You got to get the puncture repaired. You got to put it back on your vehicle. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's just one of these things that'll drive you mad. Whereas if you put good quality tires in your vehicle, it's less likely that you're going to have to deal with all of that tire changing and whatnot. Okay? Natalia, I have my driver's test on the 30th. I'm nervous. Any advice? Yes, Natalia, definitely breathe. Look at the video on reducing fear and anxiety, and you're going to be fine. Definitely watch the playlist on final day's road test. But you've got a couple of weeks yet before your road test, so make sure that you're doing your slow speed maneuvers and practicing those, because if you're slow speed maneuvers are at a high level and you're feeling comfortable doing that, that's going to improve your overall driving. So you're going to be fine. Okay. Okay, 380, thanks so much. Thanks for your comments, and have a great day as well, my friend. Okay, Stacy, thank you for the advice and the video recommendations. I will certainly follow up on them. Excellent. Yep, excellent. Thanks, Jonathan. Salah, do you have trailer backup videos? I don't, Salah. This is definitely on my list of one of the videos that I need to get done here for you. Yeah, we'll definitely get that done for you. I don't have that video up yet. All right. Okay, excellent. Cody, thank you for your respectful manner. Rick, you're a very good teacher. I will take advice from an experienced driver and right foot brake from now on. Excellent. Thanks so much, Cody. We appreciate that. And Tommy, to add to Rick's comment, anxiety reduction, I find it helpful to research my routes, especially if it's new to me, a route that I've never driven before. Yes, and Tommy, I can tell you that from personal experience, some years ago when I first moved to Ottawa, yeah, I realized that route planning and navigation, if you know beforehand where you're going to go, that is really going to reduce your anxiety and your tension when you're driving. Because if you're driving to a new place that you haven't been before, it can really ramp up your anxiety and tension when you're driving. So that's an excellent, excellent point. Okay, Jaden, do you have any advice for me if I pass my permit test from the DMV? Yes, learn how to drive doing slow speed maneuvers. Get the cones, get those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons, go to the parking lot and work at the pylon, at the parking lot, learning mastery of the primary controls, the steering wheel, the brake, and the throttle. Once you get mastery of those, the rest of your driving is going to be a lot easier from that point on. Okay? Cody, I really enjoy your content and live stream. Thanks for helping smart drivers around the world. And Cody, you are most welcome. And we're getting near the end of the hour here, wrapping up. I'd like to thank all of the smart drivers. It was last Thursday at about 10:30 in the morning that we passed the 100,000 subscribers, which is really incredible. It's beyond any kind of wildest belief that I've had in terms of the channel, because I can remember a couple of years ago, actually it was about 3 years ago, when I first started the channel, the first 6 months when it was kind of, putting videos up and it was crickets, saying to a friend of mine, we were talking on Skype, and I remember saying to him, clear as day, it was just before the hand signal video that I put up, saying to him that nobody's ever going to watch this, and boy was I wrong. I was really, really wrong. And now we've turned over 100,000 subscribers. Thank you for all the smart drivers for making that possible. Making that goal a reality. And now the next goal is to just keep making good content and trying to get more information out to the smart drivers and helping people to be safe and passing road tests and doing, just making our roads better and making our roads safer. So thank you again for 100,000K, and that's absolutely tremendous. So any more questions? I think we're getting near the end of the hour here, so we're going to wrap up here. And we'll leave it there for tonight. If you have any more questions, definitely leave us a comment down in the comment section. For those of you watching on the replay, let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for. Let us know as well what road trips you're going for. If you're going for any during Easter, where in the world you are. And that's wonderful. Thanks so much, Jonathan, for the congratulations on the 100K there. Tremendous. And we're looking forward to the plaque in the mail from YouTube. That's going to be really great. And it'll go on the wall here behind me as well. So, good luck to all of the people who have a road test coming up. Congratulations to all of the people who passed in the last couple of weeks. That's really great when you pass your license. It's very exciting. So, please let us know and sign up for the 100K campaign, and we'll help out as many people as we can. So, remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. All the best. Bye now.